Okay, so guys, here's your agenda for today. The resources that you see right here, there's 3 resources. That's for part 2 of lesson A. So you don't need those resources till part 2. And part 2 of lesson A is just a review. Things that you've already known, things that you already read last semester, but it's just a review. Lesson A is going to take up a huge chunk of today. And here's the agenda. And let's get started. The other thing I wanted to do, guys, is just start over from like my expectations kind of at the beginning of the year last year, and I'm going to do the same thing the beginning of this semester just to go over a review of expectations. And guys, just like as your teacher, I have expectations for you. It is totally normal for you guys to have expectations for me. Some expectations might include updating the grade book. Remember, every Friday I update the grade book. So that's something that's consistent that we can do. The other thing of consistency that you guys might need from me is um, Tutoring Times. So don't forget Mondays at 12:30 under Google Code Hall, and Thursdays at 7:30, Thursday mornings at 7:30, Google Code Hall. Those are some things that you have every right as a student to have expectations for your teachers. Just like respect goes both ways, expectations go both ways as well. So some of these are just a review. Welcome to U.S. Government, Semester 2. I am Mrs. Hall. That has not changed. I do want to go over the expectations, and then I'll give you about 5 minutes to take my survey, my questionnaire. One of the ways you can provide feedback is always through email, or some of you guys provide feedback right away when they say, Mrs. Hall, you're talking and you're on mute. That's good feedback. But some of you guys might be a little leery about giving feedback because you're like, well, what if it's like, Mrs. Hall, we, can't stand your face. Can you just turn off your camera the whole time? Okay, that hurts my feelings, but you know, and I probably still wouldn't do that because I don't think I'm the most hideous thing on the planet. There's those little rat dogs that I think rank up there as hideous. And so um that's feedback that I do want. Again, not necessarily about my face, but maybe my playlist, maybe my standards, maybe my assignments, maybe my resources. Um, so let me go over your expectations from me, and then you can give me expectations. So these are things you already are doing. Mute your microphone, avoid non-class related dialogue, always be respectful and courteous. And again, that goes both ways. You have to use your PHHS email. Don't share any of our Google Meets or any passwords. And then I can always have you dismissed if you are disruptive. But guys, first semester, we didn't have any of those issues. A few extra tidbits of information, and this is where it's a little different. Remember, I need proof of life. That's the same. And this is in your student handbook. Attendance is mandatory. Part of present attendance includes actively participating as per the teacher's expectations. That is in your student handbook. So if you are not actively participating in the chat or unmuting yourself and verbally giving answers, I don't know you exist. So if I call on you and you do not respond, just remember I need that proof of life. I need you to respond in the chat. I need you to turn on your camera. I need you to verbally answer the question. If I call on you and you don't respond, I will mark you absent. No proof of life means you will be marked absent. So that's nothing new. I implemented that second quarter of last semester. Don't forget there's no choice board. If you're absent, you're absent, you're absent. I will still meet with you during tutoring times to help you. Or you can always watch my videos to get caught up. Tardy is a tardy. And then this is the new thing. Number 4, new. I will always and forever throughout the entire class period have a Google Meets Code Hall open. So if there's hey, Mrs. Hall, I'm having a hard time with part 2 and you need like to talk it out or verbally go over it and you don't want to do that in the middle of class, I don't mind. So Google Meets Code Hall will always be open throughout the entire class period. And so if you need extra help, clarification, you want to talk about something that you don't want to talk about in the middle of class, that's something that I will do differently. Now, the other reason why I added Hall is because of assignments not being completed. Guys, I do go through and I check your work as you're doing it. Students have a tendency to leave assignments blank. So they just won't do them. So I also created Hall for example, if I notice that Robert is stuck halfway through part 1, then I can say, hey, Robert, go meet me in Hall and I can help you complete part 1 of the lesson. So I'm also doing it to help the students that seem to be struggling. The other reason is if your paper is blank, I will be calling you over into that other Google Meets. So remember, I check your work to make sure that you are doing it because I have access to all of your papers at every single time. And so if I notice like Miss Stein, your paper's blank and you need to go meet me in that other Google Meets. Maybe you just don't know where to start. Maybe you are playing video games and I need you to focus on school. And so in that other Hall Google Meets, if it's just you and me, I would also recommend and request actually that you have your video camera on while you're doing it. Guys, I do not want papers blank. I would rather have you answer the question and get it wrong and meet with me for tutoring for help than have it blank. Blank is not an option in this semester. So that's another reason why I have that other Google Meets Hall open so I can call you in if your paper is blank. Okay. Questions over tidbits of information. Like I said, it's all the same except for number 4. Okay. No issues. Okay, let's go back. Same thing here. This is your learning schedule. Thursday, 2nd, 4th, 6th. Everything is the same. These are my tutoring hours. If these don't meet your needs, or if there's an assignment due, when do I have you? On Tuesday at 3 and you want to meet with me Tuesday at 12:30, I don't mind. You just have to email me. So if these are ones that are consistent, if you need additional times, just email me and let me know. Okay, so guys, those are my expectations for you. So now what I need you guys is to go on and go into Google Classroom. There's a feedback form to help Mrs. Hall lesson plan for future units. So if we go back to the beginning, it's right here, feedback for semester 2. Please provide helpful, constructive feedback. I use the whole, I don't like looking at Mrs. Hall as an example. That's not helpful. But if it's something about the lessons we're doing, or if it's something about the reading material, if it's something about maybe additional resources, maybe, whatever it is, there's a feedback question. Do your best. You don't have to put your name. The name is optional. If you want to put your name because you have a question for me, and then that's fine because then I can respond to you. But the name is optional. You don't have to put your name. So guys, go ahead and fill out that form, and I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to fill out that form, okay? Question of the day. So thank you for your feedback. If you're still working on it, take a few more seconds. And I realize my keys are loading. While it's loading, let me explain the little box that's purple. The Prowler Hour starts next week. I'm putting together a list of students that I would like to see during Prowler Hour. If you know right now, hey, first semester I struggled a lot, email me and request to be in my Prowler Hour. That's just another time for me to help you, whether it's help organizing your notes, help organizing your assignments. Maybe you got part one done of the assignment, but not part two. So I have my list of students I'm going to request. But if you want to be part of my Prowler Hour, just shoot me an email and I can always make it so, like, the student requested. It's Google Meets Code Hall. So you can also just come in, like, let's say one Wednesday, you are behind and you just want to join under Hall. I will be there Wednesday from 1 to 2:15 in Google Code Hall. So that's just Prowler Hour starts next week. Now, some teachers, like Spanish teachers, chemistry teachers, English teachers, they might be requesting you as well. So it's not just me. All right. So question of the day. We are getting into the U.S. Constitution, specifically Article 1. This whole unit is the legislative branch unit. And to introduce the legislative branch, the U.S. Constitution, we need to start with the preamble. So the preamble, the first three words are we the people. Well, who are the people? I am going to play you a song while you are typing up the question of the day in the chat, or prepare yourself to unmute and share. Just remember, guys, I need everybody either sharing or talking. If I notice that there's nobody participating or a few people are not participating, then I will be calling on you more. So just make sure you're answering the question of the day. Who are the people in We the People? And then what words or phrases keep repeating? To help you, real quick, I'm gonna read the preamble to you so you kind of know. So this is your assignment, lesson A. It says the preamble is a 52-word sentence that introduces the Constitution. This very long sentence explains the purpose for writing the Constitution. So let me read the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So that's the preamble. Now let's go back to the question of the day. Who are we the people? Who are the people? And then what words or phrases do you keep seeing, and what do they mean? So as you are answering the question of the day, let me play you a song. Okay, so that little song was a little choppy just because of internet issues, but let's see what you guys have. The people are the citizens that make up the whole government. So I'm seeing a lot of citizens of the United States. Now, what about when you say, okay, so you guys are saying citizens. Johnson is saying the American people. So are they one and the same? So for example, my 9-year-old doesn't pay taxes and my 9-year-old doesn't vote. He can't serve on a jury. So does he count? Is he under we the people? Or what about someone with their green card? They are here working and, oh, you guys can't see. Back to I'm talking to myself because I've been talking this whole time. But let me go and show you an example. So a lot of you guys are saying the citizens of the United States, but Johnson is saying the American people. And what if, like, my 9-year-old as an example, is he considered we the people? He doesn't pay taxes, he doesn't vote. So does he count under we the people? Or what about somebody with their green card? They're not a US citizen, but they are paying taxes. They can't vote. They can't serve on juries. And then we have Emma who says, well, we the people should include everybody. And that's also another argument. So, and then I like how Ortiz is saying that she's bringing up an interesting argument. Technically, when they wrote We the People, they were talking about just the founding fathers, and not specifically like, oh, only George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, all that. But when they wrote We the People, the only people that had rights were older white men who owned property. So you had to have property, you had to be a man, you had to be older than 21, and you had to be white. So even We the People from 1787 to 2020 has changed. So if you even look at the preamble, that has changed over time to mean something different. Yes, so Stein is very specific: ensure, secure, promote. All these words mean to make something better or create change. And the Constitution allows for change. Nothing in the Constitution is set in stone, so it does allow for change. So a lot of you guys are saying, citizens. Yes, Naya. So the people back in the day in 1787 were all white male citizens, and then now it's everybody. So good. So you guys all are on the same page. And so now let's move on to the notes review. This is just more of discussions to introduce the preamble. Let me skip through these expectations. Okay, so guys, there's a whole big unit focus. Analyze the functions and structures of government at the national level. This whole unit is going to be about the legislative branch. And so it's more about analyze the functions and structures of government according to Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. That's how I would rephrase it. Today's standard is evaluate the evolution of ideals and rights established in historical documents, specifically the U.S. Constitution, the preamble, the first paragraph. Start at the beginning. So as a class, we will discuss, then break down the terms, phrases, and meanings of the preamble. We kind of already discussed it. Now we're going to break down the terms, phrases, and meanings. Then we will apply the definitions from your research to help write a more modern version of the preamble. Individually, and this is where your assessment piece comes in, define the terms in the preamble and then summarize the terms and meanings of them. These are 4 essential questions that we will be covering today, and they will also be in your lesson A that I posted. So guys, here's a discussion question that I kind of want to have right now. And my computer's being super slow. What is the purpose of an introduction paragraph if you are going to write an essay or a report? Why do we even have introductions? Usually if your English teacher says, write a 5-paragraph essay, you always start with an introduction. What about an introduction if you are meeting somebody new? So if you're writing a letter, what's the very first paragraph you're going to write if you are introducing yourself? So guys, I'm going to give you about a minute to answer this question. Type it in the chat. The other thing I'm going to do is use my name generator. Remember, I pick a name out of an electronic hat, and those 3 people will be required to share in the chat. So what is the whole purpose of an introduction paragraph? So I'll give you guys about a minute to type it in the chat, and I will do my pick a name, any name. So guys, all your answers were amazing. Thank you for sharing. If I can get my computer unfrozen. So when we talk about an introduction paragraph and why is it significant, why is it important to have an introduction? I mean, imagine writing for any of your English teachers and purposely missing your introduction or your thesis statement. Well, it put it at the top. Let me see if I can, there it goes. I'm going to put it here, but it's not letting me put it here. And so that's what the preamble does. The preamble is like the introduction, like the thesis statement and things like that. So I think I'm going to give up on trying to copy and paste that single one because now my computer is frozen. Ooh, okay. Of the introduction, it's what you're going to write about, the reason you're writing. An introduction paragraph tells the reader a little more information that they should know before they read on. The introduction gets the readers wanting to read more. So guys, all of that is good. And so I still don't know why it wasn't copying at the bottom, but I'm giving up. Not gonna die trying to take that hill. Is anybody else's computers going really, really, really slow? Because it's driving me nuts. Okay. So guys, the significance of the preamble. Why is it important? Why do we even have the preamble? What is the meaning of it? So a preamble is a brief introduction to a speech. That's what the actual definition of preamble. Pre means before. So it's the speech you give before you have your big hoop-de-doo main idea of your speech. Preamble comes from the Latin preambulus, which means walking before. What is the main purpose of the preamble? The preamble is the opening statement to the United States Constitution. The preamble explains the reasons why the framers of the Constitution made our government a republic. Now, to understand why we have the preamble, we need to go back in time. Anybody watch Back to the Future? That's one of the songs, Back in Time. By doing this, the Founding Fathers replaced what document? Remember, our first government of the United States was a huge failure. So do you guys remember what that historical document was that was our first government? Don't make me do my name picker, picking a name out of an electronic hat. What was the first government of the United States that failed? So it was the Articles of Confederation that was a huge failure. And you don't need to write this down. This is just a review. Remember, under the Articles of Confederation, the states had more power than the national government. It was only a one-house legislature. The national government could not collect taxes, and one branch controlling the government. And it was the one legislative branch, one house. So then the U.S. Constitution comes around. The national government power is stronger than the states. We have a two-house legislature. U.S. Congress has the power to tax and regulate trade. And we have three branches that make up the government. Guys, total side note. I did want to go over this. I don't know if you guys paid attention to Georgia. Georgia had its own Senate race, and Georgia's two senators are now Democrats. So the Senate now is a Democrat Senate. because who's in charge of the Senate? It's the vice president. And so if ever there's a tie, then the tie goes to the vice president, who is Harris, Democrat. So now we've got the House of Representatives, Democrat, the Senate, Democrat, and the president and vice president, Democrat. So now all three of those are Democrats. So I don't know if you guys were paying attention to that in the news. It wasn't just the issues that's going on in our Capitol building and the the riots that's going on in Washington, D.C. from last night, but also the Democrats control the House, the Democrats control the Senate, and now in January 17th, the Democrats will control the executive branch. So FYI, I don't know if you guys are paying attention or not to the news. I mean, the news has a lot of other things that overshadowed this, but it's pretty darn important. All right, let's go back to the notes. So now our two House legislatures are both Democrats. So I just kind of wanted to make sure you guys knew that. Okay, so now we're getting to part 1 of lesson A. Have the 12 definitions completed. Share throughout the lesson your definitions to make sure you are in the same ballpark. Guys, I'm going to give you 20 minutes. So go ahead and open up this. And this is your assignment, and we're going to do it a little bit at a time. Find the meaning of each word below in a dictionary. Well, we don't have physical dictionaries, but you've got dictionary.com. Use the context of the preamble above to pick the best definition for each word. Write the definitions in the appropriate box. So guys, I'm going to do union for you. So let me show you how I would do union. So I'll do union. So I am going to just type in union definition in my Google search. Again, my computer's so slow. Okay, well, it's not working. There it goes. Okay, so guys, of these two, the action of or fact of joining or being joined, especially in a political context, a club, society, or association formed by people with a common interest or purpose. So this is what I'm saying. You need to pick a definition that aligns with what it's saying in the preamble. So if you look at how it's used, okay, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So which one goes with that? The action or fact of joining or being joined. So let me show you. This is what I picked. The act of joining together, oneness, combining two or more things. So my definition, I picked the definition because the second one didn't really, you could say Jake and I have a union, but that's dealing with marriage union, not necessarily the country. So, guys, I'm going to give you 20 minutes to do these 12. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing in names of people that need to put their definitions in the chat. So you might see your name come up on this screen. So it just means you need to share your definition. So 20 minutes, guys, for these definitions. If you finish early, definitely move on to the next piece. Now it's your turn. Update the preamble in 2021 lingo. Use the definitions above to help you write a more modern version of the preamble. So when you guys get done, if you get done early with the definitions, you can move on. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, none of these 12 words should be in the 2021 lingo. I don't use posterity every day. I use it once a year when I'm explaining this lesson. So just make sure when you're writing the newest version of 2021 lingo, you're writing it as a teenager in 2021. I don't know too many teenagers that use the word tranquility. So these 12 words you're defining, but they should not be used. You're using student version of the word in your 2021 preamble. I shouldn't see those words in your 2021 version. So guys, 20 minutes. If you finish early, move on. If you're struggling, let me know. And remember, I always have the Google Meets Hall open. So 20 minutes, guys. For 5 minutes, I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. You are pulling those words out and putting your own words in. Okay? So 5 minutes for putting it into your own words. Now it's your turn. Put it into your own 2021 lingo. Do not use those same words in your lingo. I would do this in 2 sentences because I do think the preamble is one long run-on sentence. But if you want to do it in 1 sentence, you can. And then I'll start calling on people to share. Okay, so 5 minutes for this part. To share, I'm going to set my timer for about 5 minutes while we're waiting for them to share. Choose 1 question to answer in 2 to 3 sentences for the conclusion to part 1. What does we the people imply? What does it even mean? How was the phrase different in 1790s compared to present day? And then what is the purpose of the preamble? So choose 1 to answer in 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, so while we're waiting for Zachary, Johnson, and Garrett to respond in the chat, you guys can move on to the essential question. Up into groups. I found this article, We the People, and how it has changed over time. So when you guys go into your groups, it's right here. As you guys go into your groups, talk out loud on how it has changed over time. It has huge meaning to me because here you have women's suffrage activist Susan B. Anthony was one individual who challenged the country to expand its definition of who belongs. In November 1872, she was arrested for voting in a federal election before women had gained the right to do so. Before her trial, she gave a speech entitled, "Is it a crime for a citizen of the United States to vote?" In that speech, she quoted the preamble to the Constitution and then stated, "It was we the people, not we the white male citizens, nor yet we the male citizens, but we the whole people who formed the Union." So to women, we the people has changed over time. We also have who is included in We the People. This is a question that has been debated throughout American history. William H. Hastie, the first Black federal judge in the United States, wrote, "Democracy is a process, not a static condition. It is becoming rather than being. It can be easily lost, but is never finally won." So guys, I put this resource in there because if you guys as a group are struggling to answer that question, you can use this resource to help you answer that group question. So I'm going to go ahead and break you guys up into groups. And what you're going to do in your groups is answer this question. And sometimes after answering this question, this might help you with the essential questions, because really the essential questions should come at the very end. So let's do the group activity, and hopefully the group activity will help you with the essential question. So I'm going to break you guys up into groups. I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes to answer this question as a group. Everybody needs to answer it. So when I go through and you're like, it's in Robert's response, no, you need to answer it. But you can answer it while talking out loud. So while Maria is talking, somebody else in the group is typing as well. And then maybe Stein is talking and then somebody else is writing. So you guys, yes, help each other, but you still need to have your own answer typed for a grade. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes to work in groups. I gave you a resource if you guys get a little stuck. And then when we come back, then I'll give you 5 minutes for the essential questions. Okay. Let me press record. If you are not done, I found additional resources to help you with some of those questions. I found this We the People that I already talked to you about. Susan B. Anthony talks about using We the People in her defense because she was arrested. It's interesting how amazing people in American history have a record. They were arrested and they have a record. Susan B. Anthony, arrested, has a criminal record. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was arrested, has a criminal record. What are you willing to do to stand up for what you think is right? And Susan B. Anthony, We the People should include women. Dr. King, We the People should include people of all races. And then I found this link. It's not coming up, but it's a document. And it just says, kind of goes over how it's changed We the People from 1787. So for the purpose of ratifying the Constitution in 1787, people were defined as free white men, meaning no women or people of color were given a voice in forming the new government. So We the People did not include women or people of different races. So it talks about how this article talks about how the first change was the 15th Amendment, guaranteeing men of all races the right to vote. And then the 19th Amendment, and then the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, like all those other things you learned in previous units. So, so this is also an additional resource because, and let me be clear with my expectations, what you need to have done by the end of today, we've got 9 minutes left in class. By the end of today, you need to have one essential question answered, one, and then you need to have the group paragraph typed up. So, and again, my computer's freezing. This right here needs to be typed up as well. We ran out of time for part 2. So we're not going to do part 2 till Tuesday of next week. So don't submit this, don't turn it in. I promise I'll give you time next class period for part 2. But by the end of class period today, you need to have one essential question answered, and you need to have the prompt, what is the importance of the first 3 words of the Constitution of the United States, We the People, and how has it changed over time? So that is, you need to have pages 1 and 2 in this assignment completely done. Page 3 we'll do next week. So those are my expectations for you. Because again, we just need to make sure we set clear expectations for students to know what is due at the end of class. Again, you're not submitting it, but you just need to make sure that all of lesson A is done. You have the 12 definitions. You have your use the definitions to help you write a more modern version of the preamble. Choose one essential question of the day, and then the working groups. So you should have all of lesson A done today. And we're still in class for 8 minutes, 7 minutes. So I will stay on till 10. Here's the rubric, research and definitions, and then the focus that I will be grading on. Lesson B, we're going to do Tuesday. Don't worry about lesson B. And lesson B is a review. So don't worry about lesson B. We're going to do that Tuesday of next week. So check it out. Questions, comments, concerns. So one good thing that happened during winter break and one frustrating thing. So one good thing is Cobra Kai came out, season 3. The other thing that my husband and I were binge watching was Titans. It's an HBO Now series. It's about Teen Titans. It's not kid friendly, so I don't recommend it. But I enjoy it. We also watched Wonder Woman 1984. It was okay. That's why we bought HBO, because that movie was on there. And then I think after this month, we won't keep HBO. One bad thing, one frustrating thing was we pulled up tile. Our entire downstairs, we pulled up. So here I am with my little chisel and little hammer, and I was very frustrated. So that was my frustrating thing, is if you've ever done tile, not fun. Also, I was really stressed out and frustrated and confused about school going online. I wanted to be back in person. I wanted everything to go back to normal. I do better with consistency, but that was not happening. So pulling up tile and not knowing what was happening for school. So those were my two, one good thing and one frustrating thing. So guys, I will stay